Kia ora, ngā mai ki te whare. Welcome to the House. Ko Louis Collins aho. Last week, Parliament hosted Youth Parliament, an event in which youth MPs and Youth Press Gallery come to Parliament and moonlight as their older counterparts for a couple of days. Here's Minister for Youth, James Meagher, to explain what it's all about.
Yes, so Youth Parliament is a really exciting development opportunity for young people. It enables them the ability to see how Parliament works, learn about effective advocacy and how they can play a role in the decision-making process in the country.
Now, it's not just one of those events where a bunch of debaters come and debate whether we should wear uniforms in schools or not. It's actually got some substance to it, right?
Yeah, so in the past we've run sort of mock select committees where they were working on a particular bill. This time around we thought in order to give young people the opportunity to get out in the community and discuss the issues with their peers, that would give them a topic that they would then come into Parliament, work together in a collaborative way of producing some recommendations to government on that topic. And as part of that process, it meant they got to get out in their communities, hear their feedback, feed that into the process, which is kind of like the select committee process, but it's less partisan and sort of...
So it's not just the kind of, showcase of the debates, it's also like the gritty work that goes on in proper Parliament.
The bulk of what Parliament actually does, it's not the question time stuff, it's the work in select committees, working together, trying to find compromise and solutions on really, really tough issues that people have struggled for years to find solutions on. So they got the experience of what it's like to work with people who come from different backgrounds, have different views, and trying to reach a consensus on what a solution might be.
There's a number of emulated parliamentary procedures that the participants get to experience, but the general debate sessions are arguably the climax of them, showcasing political oratory that would give many real MPs a run for their money. Here's Tanvi Upreti.
We sit in classrooms where civics are not taught. In 2023, less than 5% of New Zealand's secondary schools offered civics education. That is preposterous. This isn't an accident. It is a calculated move to keep youth like me and us and everyone here quiet. Voting without understanding is not empowerment. It is a cause of silence. It is a manipulation. It is an illusion of our choice.
Tautaralelea Sa'u.
What are we waiting for? Another Māori Pasifika rangatahi to die to preventable health problems? Another Pasifika young person live shivering in the streets? What are we doing by forcing these whānau to survive like this? Why does it cost so much to just buy a block of butter, to buy a single piece of fruit? Tax cuts for landlords, tax cuts for tobacco companies. But who's paying for it? People like my parents, people living in garages, cars, and overcrowded homes. We are paying for it with our dignity. Cost of living? No, it's the cost of breath, cost of seeing tomorrow, cost of the future, cost of who's going to eat and who isn't. Mr. Speaker, to what cost will rangatahi have to pay to live a simple life?
Tarangi Tukiwaho Edwards.
We need leaders who reflect our whakapapa, our dreams, our struggles and our wawata, not just people in suits. Finally, our whenua and moana are not for sale. Te Tiriti o Waitangi is not just a historical document, it is a living promise. We will not stand by as that promise is being broken again. So I see this as a taiahi o te tai tokerau. We are watching, we are rising, and we will not be silenced.
At every youth parliament there tends to be some kind of controversy. The last one in 2022 was caught up in a hullabaloo about mask wearing. This time round, the contention was this.
I seek leave of the House to move that we regret the disingenuousness shown in remarks from ministers regarding the 2025 Youth Parliament and urge the government of 2028 to reinstate the live stream, realise the influence of their suggestions and stop the censorship.
Youth MPs also had a go at questioning ministers and weren't afraid to express dissatisfaction when they thought an answer wasn't up to scratch.
Madam Speaker, may I speak? I've got a point of order over here to my left.
Order 1993, I do not believe that the Minister correctly addressed the nature of the member's question about freeing up more resources.
Look, it is my judgment that the Minister did address the question. I've heard a lot of ministers answering questions in the House for the last 11 years, and I can assure you that that was one of the best addressed questions I've actually heard in a very long time.
In that same question time session, one youth MP, Aidan Mill, held up a note and the House suddenly plunged into a bit of a raucus.
Point of order?
I'd like you to ask the member to please leave the chamber.
No, I'm not going. Order!
I caught up with Aidan and his fellow youth MP, Gail Bain, to see what the commotion was all about.
There's a bit of controversy in the House today during question time. You held up a note, didn't you? What was that in reaction to?
Well, it was in reaction to the censorship of the whole of Youth Parliament, just how we've seen the national government and what they've kind of done was, it's just been really disappointing. There's no supplementary questions, the ministers weren't answering our questions, and it was just a general feeling of disappointment. So I thought me and my colleague here would decided to put up a sign saying we were disappointed in that.
And someone didn't take too kindly to that. Someone asked you to get kicked out of the House.
That was Jerry. He represents the ACT Party, and he had previously that day actually put up a very, very racist speech about cutting all government funding, race-based government funding, and he got booed out of the chamber. So,
And other than the controversy today, the tit for tat today, how's it been?
Pretty good most of the time. I think there are some things that could be improved, but like general debate speeches yesterday were really, really good. Most of the speeches today were really good.
What surprised you about the experience?
definitely the food. There was a lot of food. I've never had so much food. They were just throwing at us, and I guess the inter-party, because everyone was hanging out. It didn't matter what party you were. It was just once we got on there, people split into party lines. People said some stuff that maybe they didn't believe, but their party believed.
So you felt like some MPs were there, to advance their experience and, their political expertise, but some were just there to kind of echo their MP proper, like their older MP?
I definitely think that it was a lot of networking, but I definitely think it was almost a measuring contest between a lot of MPs, because I definitely think that some of the speeches that were given were echoing the MP, especially the youth MP for Winston Peters.
I think the censorship was actually really surprising. I think in terms of how, and also like the communication, they should have and could have communicated a lot better and easier and not made it so complicated to understand. But the censorship was kind of crazy, like being told not to be political, and they kept mixing up political and partisan. We're not allowed to be partisan, but they were also telling us not to be political, and it's kind of hard to not be political at a political event.
Throughout the 2 days, members of the Youth Press Gallery watched the proceedings in the chamber below. I chatted to aspiring young journos Ruben Smith, Alexandra Bogdanova and Jonathan McCabe to see what they had observed and what their experience of reporting on the event had been like.
It's Youth Parliament 2025 and there's already been quite a bit of controversy. There's been talks of censorship, there's been talks of walkouts. What's going on?
It's definitely felt like every story that we have to publish, we have to send over to the ministry to have a look over, and though it's intended to help us, it does come with some consequences.
Do you feel like real journos?
Not really, to be honest. It more feels like simulated journalism. I mean, we were encouraged to reach out to external sources, but at every step of the way we've been held back or hand-holded, and it's kind of like there's no point in doing journalism if the story is dead within a day or an hour. It sort of feels like redundant journalism. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it does seem like a lot of we've been given some great opportunities with some big inside scoops just through what we've been hearing, who we've been talking to on the inside, and it is a bit sad that it's kind of felt like we haven't been as encouraged to kind of put that out there, because it seems to be against what the so-called, I'm doing hand quotes, spirit of the Youth Parliament.
Now, let's move away a little bit from controversy. The spirit of the Youth Parliament, what have you observed like when you've been sitting up there in the chamber of the youth MPs?
I would say the youth MPs are very spirited. They're very politically driven, as expected from somebody that's going to be involved in Youth Parliament. And again, touching back on the censorship thing, I think it's interesting that they're really playing up the nonpartisan approach, but not in the approach of, you don't have to agree with the MP that you're representing and more representing your community. Instead, they're sort of just saying don't have any political opinion and just gas up the government, I guess.
On that, what have been the issues that have come up, both in general, but also in terms of criticising the government?
It feels like they're cherry picking who is able to actually have a say on a certain matter. Like, for example, more left-leaning approaches are sort of discouraged from, I guess, being in a general debate. But for example, two very similar topics on race-based scholarship were just sort of permitted.
What have you found about MPs like that? I'm not sure if you've had any interactions with them beforehand, but did you learn anything about them as people?
I've learnt some of them are so scared of the press, and they know how to deal with it. and they're really good at that, and they're very good at getting up on the whim.
I think more than ever it's made me want to become a journo because it's holding power to account, right? And it's in our actions that we've been undertaking, it's showing that as we try to hold the power to account, the power that we're trying to hold to account has silenced us. I mean, it is a great opportunity at the end of the day.
It's like a reminder of like the democratic importance of free-based journalism, like not something that is funded and, you know, sieved through the government. It's like something that we do ourselves under legal protection, of course.
I definitely have enjoyed just seeing the behind the scenes. Like, it has kind of humanised a lot of the MPs, and just meeting them and sitting and having dinner with them has been probably my favourite part, actually, just literally dinner time.
So what did the minister make of all the accusations of censorship?
I think it was a bit of a misunderstanding. At the end of the day, all of the youth MPs and Youth Gallery were entitled to say what they felt like they needed to say. Part of our role and part of the ministry's role in running this program is to make sure that all the participants are safe in what they do and say. And look, they don't have the protections in the same way that politicians do in terms of privilege and in terms of protection from legal action. So just trying to support them and guide them and provide recommendations about what they might want to do to amend their speeches here and there. But ultimately, it's up to them as to what they say. And we saw that in the debates. We saw some pretty robust and challenging criticisms of existing government policy. And I think we expect that because these young people come here not to champion the status quo, but to try and change it. So I actually think it all went really well. And I want to congratulate them all for being here, for treating the whole process with respect, and for engaging with each other in a really respectful way.
Now, the worst part about a school field trip is coming back to school and having to write a reflection about what you learned. Trying not to replicate that for them too much, I chatted to a group of youth MPs at the conclusion of the 2 days to see how their experience had generally been.
There's so many different perspectives and opinions and viewpoints, but out of the debating chamber, we all get along. It's the mutual agreement of keeping it in the chamber and keeping it professional, which I really appreciate, and something that I've definitely learned in this experience.
The biggest thing I learned is that politics isn't always like what you see in the media. Like I feel like sitting in the House, we felt a lot more unified than what it could look like from the outside. I think everyone's in there for the right reasons, representing their community, and I think that's what I learned mostly, because it always looks really bad on the headline.
Because for those that don't know, you're not representing the party, eh? Like you're not all young National, young Labour.
Yeah, it's meant to be like non-partisan.
Right. Has it felt non-partisan?
I think you can tell who is and who isn't. I think it's really important that we don't, so that we can represent all the rangatahi in our electorates, but some people may have found it a bit harder to differentiate their views and their electorate's views, and honestly, good on them for being passionate.
Youth MP Inya O'Donnell covered the issue of tall poppy syndrome in her general debate speech. The group I chatted to told me that they had even experienced it during their tenure as youth MPs.
I think tall poppy syndrome is definitely more prevalent in the rural areas, where someone at a high school there and you say, right, I'm going off to youth parliament, what the hell, why are you going there? Like that kind of stuff.
Farming's been my blood for years and years and years, and my school's quite little. There's only 500 of us right from year 9 to year 13. And it was definitely a kind of, what the heck, this girl from a tiny little town, rural place, in the wop-wops, as you'd call it. I was going to Parliament, and people are going, what would she know about the big city things? Parliament people and youth MPs and ministers are all supposed to be from big cities traditionally, and here I am from, nowhere really.
Now, for those that don't know, what's actually the process of becoming a youth MP? Like if rangatahi out there want to become a youth MP at the next one, how do they go about doing that?
It's a fantastic experience. If you are slightly interested in it, you want to make a change, you want to make something apply. So I went through Facebook. My local MP had put up a little post saying that they were looking for a youth MP. So in the next 3 years when they do youth parliament again, all you got to do is look for your local electorate, for your MP, and then they would have put something up and you can apply through that.
That was youth MPs Inya O'Donnell, Chris Proctor, Isabella White and Neve Smith. I te whakaronga koe ki te whare. You've been listening to The House, a program with funding from Parliament's Office of the Clerk. Mātua.